people can have a hard time with self-esteem. It's funny how that works. Yet, I'm sure it wouldn't take a genius to know that self-esteem plays a major role in your life. A person who doesn't feel comfortable with who they are and day to day don't think positive of themselves, well, it's known to be painful. However, if you hear enough, you start to believe what you hear. The trick is to not let what others say sink in your thoughts. If you're with others who make you feel not so good about yourself, then I'm sorry to say this, but the time has come to move on with your life and go meet other people. Or try and see if you could do something less or change that you can make. Now, let's just say that it's a family member that is close to you who is the source of your low self-esteem. All I can say is how much that doesn't make any sense at all. That is, if the person carries a close relationship with you, then where can your relationship go wrong? Well, I'm not entirely sure, but I can tell you this much thus far. It can happen. I myself personally am a living example of the situation. I can tell you my story of misfortune. I am aware of the fact that my view of the story has changed as the years have gone by, but here it goes. I grew up, and a little after some time, I managed to find my one and only cousin whom I cherished a lot. In fact, a little too much. We spent most of our time together, and I learned to admire and look up to her. Being with her were the days I would find myself the happiest. However, after a while, as I began aging, my view of things began to change. My parental unit would manage to give me criticism that wasn't most constructive. Had my parents used any other person for comparison, I highly doubt that I would have gained any hatred toward my cousin, but they didn't. Comparing is one thing I can say I have learned from my parents because it was used as my list of expectations. Like any other child with their parents, they tend to put it upon themselves to gain approval from their parents. However, it is my dearest cousin who gained their approval, not me, so I began to despise and envy her secretly. It crossed my mind that it was probably my cousin whom my parents desired, not me. It was probably her whom they replaced me with any given day or opportunity, which helped me question my self-worth, and I began to simply ignore what it was that my parents had to say. However, I stayed close to my cousin, for she kept her secrets to me with such confidence I just couldn't resist. Well, as usual, time passes, and eventually I began to see things differently. It occurred to me that my cousin has changed in my eyes, and I began to realize that I actually didn't agree with what my cousin did. She would tell me stories that I thought of as a dream come true for any girl at her age. Yet I realized that it appeared to be more as though she was doing what others told her to do, and because she was capable, she decided to do those certain things. So I realized that I'm a different person, and I didn't agree with her logic for certain situations. My own individuality is something in which I should cherish more. Also, if my parents prefer her over me, then so be it, for I prefer myself over her any given day, that is. If I were you, I would not always listen to what others have to say, especially if all they say helps you think more negatively of yourself. I now have an easier time being myself.